Hello, my name's David Addamo and welcome to video number 5 of the series. In video number 4, we came here to the winery and I explained how we do the processing from going through the crusher destimmer onto the sorting table and how we sorted out all the fruit and got basically all of the fruit spotless. At that point, we took the fruit and we dumped it in these fermenting bins. Once we got all of the fruit inside of the fermenting tank, we take a sample of the grape juice and we send it to the laboratory, and the lab will make up what is like a DNA of the grape juice. And I have a copy of that here, and so basically what the lab is telling me with just the grape juice is they're giving me the pH, the bricks of sugar, they're giving me malactic acid, and they're just giving me the makeup of the grape juice. Before we start fermentation, before we do anything, we want to know what we're starting with. And when you have a good product and you've grown the grapes properly and you've done the process that I believe I do very well, your numbers here are going to be where you want them to be without having to add or make adjustments at a grape juice level. Now, if your grapes are grown poorly and they're unevenly ripened, when you do this report and this analysis, your numbers are not going to be where you want them as far as your pH levels. I mean, there could be a lot of acid and there's a lot of things that you would have to work with in order to make a good wine. So with our report, I'm very happy. We're at 24.5 bricks of sugar, which is great. Our pH is 3.43. It's all in the numbers that we're really happy with because we did this in the vineyard. As we were growing it, we grew it properly and we got to where we wanted. So now that we have our report on the grape juice, now we can move in to what we call a cold soak. The cold soak is when we chill the tanks down so that the berries are very cold inside of there to prevent it from fermenting. And the reason why we do that is to extract color. So when we're doing punch downs, we're extracting the color from the skins of the berries into the juice without fermentation. This is just strictly grape juice at this point. And in order to do that, we have to keep the tank very cold to allow us to do that process. If the tank were to be hot, most likely the fermentation would start, because as soon as it gets hot and you've got that grape juice in there, it's just going to start wanting to take off and start fermenting. So at this point with this tank here, which we're going to be talking about, we've done about a 4.5 day cold soak, and we've been doing punch downs and we've been just extracting that color before we get into our fermentation process. A lot of different wineries and winemakers use different types of things prior to fermentation and post-fermentation. You could use enzymes, to help with the fermentation or to extract color. There's a lot of different things that you can use. What we do is we add tannin to the tank prior to fermentation. And the reason why we're adding that tannin is to extract and hold the color in the wine. And there's a lot more to that, but that's just basically what it is. We add the tannin, and our goal is to keep that oxidation down and keep that really rich dark color in the wine. So we would add tannin prior to fermentation. Once we've added that and we're through our punch downs and we've finished the cold soak, now we're going to get into inoculating the tank. We shut the tank down so it's not chilling anymore. We want it to heat up, and we're going to make our own inoculation of yeast according to the amount of tonnage and the size of the tank and the amount of grapes that we're dealing with. Tonnage-wise is how we do it. If we're dealing with a 6-ton tank, then we'll make our batch up accordingly for 6 tons. So what we would do is we get the right temperature of water in a bucket, and we would add nutrient to the bucket. Then we would add yeast, and we just mix everything in there and hydrate everything. We will put the yeast inside of the tank, And as it warms up within the next day, things are going to start getting warm, and then we'll start showing you the fermentation process, and it'll start taking off. And of course, at that point, what's going to be happening is the yeast is going to be eating the sugar and converting it to alcohol. It's pretty neat. These tanks really come alive. They start boiling. Very key thing is once it starts taking off in fermentation, is you don't want the tank to get too hot, because if it reaches 100, 110 degrees, that will be too hot and it'll actually kill the yeast off. So your ideal temperature, we set the tanks at about 85 to 88 degrees. So once the temperature rises, the tank will kick on and keep it chilled down so it doesn't get too hot. But in all of that, we're doing punch downs like 3 and 4 times a day, depending at what part of the fermentation it's going through. We're here first thing in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, and then in the middle of the night, we'll come in here and do those punch downs. It's just more labor intense. It's something that I believe it takes to make a great wine, and it's been working for me. So once we get through our fermentation, we're going to be testing, throughout the fermentation process of where the bricks of sugar are. We'll be doing a sample, and it'll be telling us, it's at 15 bricks, 10 bricks, and when we're finished, we will be at 0 bricks of sugar, and preferably at like -0, which just means that it is completely dry and the fermentation has been completed. In the next video, we'll be showing you how we drain and press, and that's pretty exciting. You'll get to see the wine come out of the tank after it went through fermentation. My name's David Addamo, and thank you for watching.